Hi, this is Nick Struan from Advanced Skill Training in Cebu. And today's title is How Fluent Are the Filipinos in English? How fluent are the Filipinos in English? And personally, having visited the Philippines many times and as a school teacher, I've also been to visit a lot of the primary schools in the areas. And personally, I have always thought that the Filipinos are fantastic. They really are they're some of the best teachers, and the school system teaching the English is, what I think anyway, some of the best around. Now, there is flaws, of course there are, like in most systems. Like I went to China to teach there for 4.5 years, and that's a whole different ball game there, because the children in China are extremely good at grammar and spelling and all these things, writing, but they cannot speak. And that's why there's obviously a need over there for English teachers, especially foreign teachers, to come and help out with that side of things. I experienced teachers, Chinese English teachers, who's been teaching for 15 years that could not have a conversation with me in English. And you may ask yourself, how is that possible that someone can go and teach a class of 56 students all day and not actually learn to speak themselves? The problem there, I should say, is because they don't have an opportunity themselves to actually practice what they teach, if you like, right? There's not that many foreigners in China in comparison to other countries, perhaps. And they don't often get the opportunity to actually sit down and talk to a foreigner or share an English conversation with someone else. So they, like their students, have multiple questions and choices and all these exams with computers. But of course, it's not the same as speaking to an actual foreigner who has English as their local language. Now, so back to the thing, how good are the Filipinos at in their language? And as I said, I think they're fantastic. Now, having said that, does that mean that they're perfect? And I'm sorry if you are Filipino, I'm sort of directing and ignoring you a little bit here, because if you are listening to this, I do apologize, but this is mainly a topic, I suppose, for perhaps foreign students who are learning who's interested in learning how to speak English and wondering how the Filipinos are going there, right? And back to the thing there. The Filipinos, as I said, and you are really, really great. Let me correct my mistakes here and say that like I'm talking to you, the Filipinos, and you are really great at your language, and you are very clever. Now, you don't think so. I know that many Filipinos are very shy about the fact that they are good at English, not only because they're afraid that the foreigners will say, oh, look, that wasn't pronounced correctly, and laugh at them. And also, they are very shy about sharing their knowledge with other Filipinos, as you know, because, again, the same reason that it's maybe seen as being unpatriotic, which I think is a little bit sad, right? Because the English language for most cultures is so important, because it opens the doors for anyone who wish to enter into a lifestyle. Because let's face it, English is the world language, and most people communicate and indeed do business using the English language. Now, another example from China is that I was teaching business English over there to the business staff of many of the Chinese companies there, and their purchasing people has got a command of their English, but they're not able to speak the colloquial English. That means the local English, and indeed not be able to converse with a foreigner like in a natural and orderly way. They may know a lot of words about different things, but they don't know business jargon. And that means, of course, the words and the industry-specific language that goes with every occupation or every transaction, right? If you are buying magnets or if you're buying, medical equipment and this sort of thing, there's specific language that deals with that. And of course, if you're in the purchasing department, you better know this stuff, because otherwise you can't talk with the people who are your customers, who wants to buy from you, because they will come and say, well, I need 1,000 units of this thingamabob, right? And if you don't know what a thingamabob is, then it looks a little bit odd, right? So, and also, of course, there's cultural differences that is tied in with the language, that sometimes you can say something that perhaps in your language is okay and very funny, but in their perception is very rude and unacceptable, and you may lose your customer because of that, right? Now, I've always been impressed with your Filipino primary schools, because these kids, they speak fluent English already in year 5, and I'm that is unbelievable. And I have been able to have conversation with these little people, to such an extent that it really, really amazed me. So I must admit that I'm really, really impressed with the teaching there. I've also worked with Filipino teachers in China at a bilingual school there, and my goodness, you are some clever people there, some clever teachers, and anybody who is being taught by a Filipino teacher should be really, really happy, because they're going to end up speaking English so fast and it's not funny. Okay, so yeah, so I suppose here comes the situation where why do I think I'm needed in Cebu? Because I'm just an English teacher too. But the thing is that what is not being taught, for the first, the Tagalog language and the English is being very mixed, and if you ask the Filipino to say do the conversation totally in English, they're going to be struggling doing it, right? And this is where I come in, because I'm able to separate those two languages for you so that you can switch from one to the other. I'm actually born in Denmark, and my local language from Denmark is Danish. But I can switch from Danish to English just at the touch of a button, right? And even in mid-conversation. That's something that you need to learn, that you need to separate those two languages. So, or if you know more than that, the 3 languages or more, you need to separate them so that you can talk in one and the other. The other thing that is a great demand for is to be able to translate instantaneously, right? That means that when I'm talking, you are translating directly. You don't have to sort of wait for me to speak and then think about what I said and then tell the other party that this is what I said. No, you act as a middle go-between, and when I say something, you translate directly. And when the other person says something, you translate again directly. That means that you are sort of forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. And that takes a bit of practice, believe me. So, but look, that's where we're at, in terms of learning the languages, right? So how fluent are the Filipinos in English? They're not that fluent, okay? Unfortunately, that's not the case. But you do speak English very well, and if you can manage to separate the two languages and speak one or the other at the switch of your mind, so to speak, then you're good. You're good to go. And then the second thing you need to learn is to learn the industry-specific language, the English words and sentences that is needed to be able to interact with the Western English world, so that you can make transactions and you can actually be of value. Because if you just speak half-half, I'm sorry, but you are of no value to anyone, commercially, okay? I'm sure you're a wonderful person and you're very smart and intelligent, but, if you're dealing with someone and you only speak half Tagalog and half English, you are on the losing side of this transaction, okay? So you really need to reskill a little bit, upskill, I should say, and get the language sort of polished off. And I can help you do that, right? So I will be in Cebu shortly, and if you are interested in learning some of these skills, then make contact with me. There's a link in the description below somewhere. Or if indeed you think that someone needs what I'm saying here, please refer them and let them know what I'm talking about, and like and share and subscribe, because there's a lot more videos coming about the English language and how you can improve your skills. Okay, so this is Nick Struan from Advanced Skills Training in Cebu, and I look forward to catching up with you another time. Bye for now. Thank you.